Howdy, Wildcards and Space Cowpokes. We are back for our final Gore and lore for Deadlands Lost Colony Maw of Oblivion.
You guys sick of me yet?
Right.
Two more days, everyone, then I'll have to shut up. So,
But we've got you on for so many more projects, man. We're not letting you go.
well, it'll be a while at least. You guys will have a break. We'll have other
That's true.
cool,
That's
like
true.
other cooler people like Tracy and Brian and Shane and Simon on. So you get a rest.
But you still have to see me. Although we have hired 2 people, so you don't have to see me the entire time. So that's a cool announcement while we're waiting for folks to pile in. On Thursday, we're going to do 7 p.m. Eastern, the final hour stream for Maw of Oblivion, which is exciting because this campaign went great, folks. So thank you all for coming out. We are very excited about how many of you have continued to back. We're about just under 50% of the people who backed the first one, so that's a really good number as far as the industry goes. And so hopefully a few more of you will join.
Yeah, that's like what we always like on our side of it. Like that's the expectation that you're tracking towards, and that's why on some projects like the same people will get confused like, oh, you seem really happy about this number and not as happy about that one. It's like where some of that comes from is like, all right, here was our tracking expectation, and like, oh, we thought this would be here, and this one we're like, oh, this is way better than we were hoping. Hooray! I'm like, this is great. Thanks, everyone.
Yes, there's much rejoicing in this campaign because we're super excited that you guys have continued to support the Lost Colony.
Yeah, and that people are finding it. Like that's the really exciting part is that some people missed it, they're catching on. They're like, oh, that's a thing. And and when anyone's talking about like, what about space stuff? And it's like, well, it turns out we've got some.
Right, just wait till we have to do our other space property too, because we've got 2 space properties, people.
Well, and plus the science fiction companion, which covers kind of everything in between.
Yes, so there'll be a lot more space coming your way, guys. A lot more empty space, dead space.
I can't wait for you guys to get your hands on it, those of you that are commenting, and you won't have to wait long. I've loaded up the for you guys version. So assuming we don't, and there's a lot that can go wrong on the back end, but assuming nothing goes wrong on the back end, that'll be happening during our end cap. We'll make that happen. You guys can see the new toys. Start
right?
playing.
Yes. He's ready for you guys to take it out for a spin and start the feedback.
Start the feedback and tell me what I screwed up. And all right, we got exactly 1 week to fix this before the print, so let's get this going.
I mean, the funny thing is but people ask, they're like, how do you determine when you keep or how long you keep the feedback form open each time? So we'll close it between iterations. When the spreadsheet fills, it's like when there's too much stuff for one person to reasonably get through on in a certain amount of time. We're like, no, we need to close down comments and we'll let people comment when after they see the next version.
Yeah, like it's always a struggle, right? On the back end, because no matter how many people like proof it or play it or do anything, that terrifying moment when you open it up, to 100 or 1,000 people, and you get that many more eyes on it, and all of the things that you all took for granted, and have looked over like literally 100 times, but just are so used to it that you look over it, and then that one pair of fresh eyes sees it, and you get all the feedback, and you're like, oh my god. But
it's true. Like you think they'd be pristine, and in general they are compared to where they start. I mean, the crazy thing is when you've got multiple people editing live in the same document, just casual mistakes happen that revert whole sections. You lose paragraphs. Like Adobe is not a generally good partner in this. Like their Tuesday updates just trickle down horror through all the companies that have to use them because sometimes your stuff just doesn't work afterwards. So it's a fun process seeing it happen.
Look, I protect my file with a knife. Y'all stay out of it. It's fine. That's fine.
No one touch it.
But there's always the stuff that you've looked at 100 times. That's the one that gets you. And it's such a moment when those files go out. There's like that, like, because you're excited, you want people to play it and have fun, but they're gonna find like a typo in the first stupid sentence in your head desk.
But like, why did we not see this?
Well, right, but in the before times, like, well, it was already gone to the printer at that point, so it was even worse. Now we've got like that, sometimes 1-2 week cushion, sometimes a little longer if we start finding more. But you've got that cushion where it's like people will find something. It's like, oh, like it's terrible that they found something, but the bright side is we can fix it before we turn this file in. We've got that now, so that's what that little 1 week is all about, everyone. And why we're always stressed around it, but it's worth it because it makes a better product. Like you'll hear that a lot, is that, oh, it hurt, but it's a better product. So okay.
No, it really is. And like, we don't get a lot of comments, but like there was one that someone was just so mad about, like, the 2 or 3 typos or whatever that are still left over for Suede version 4 that aren't in print yet. And it's like, wow, is it really bothering your life that bad that there's like a missing article,
Well, I get it because people have different tolerances for that.
It's true. And some people's are just 99.9% pure.
And the other part of that can be like, there's a surprising amount that comes through that's like, oh, like this should change. They were like, no, actually, this is technically correct. Like this is right, And then, yes, Tracy's commenting. She knows, like she's been through this. You look at it for 4 months, and it just, it's, that's how traffic accidents happen. Like at your street, you look and you're used to seeing nothing, and so you don't see the bus that's coming that one day.
It's true. Well, especially with stuff that you wrote, I find it very hard to edit my own stuff just because I already know what it's in my head, so I read it as if what I attended, not what ended up getting typed.
First rule of writing is thou shalt not edit your own. I mean, you can do an editing pass, but that does not count as editing. Like if you think it does, fire yourself instantly. Daniel Hansen, Sci-Fi Companion win. Next year?
Yeah, not on the schedule yet.
Yeah, so. It's on the schedule for next year. It's actively being worked on. I can't tell when exactly it will come out, but it's coming sooner than later. Like it's definitely on the Horror Companion up next sometime. Horror Companion's up like next month, y'all.
Yep, October.
That's been announced. It's happening.
Pine Box Middle School and Horror coming to Kickstarter
together.
Yes, together and separate. It's great. So we're excited. We're excited to see. Yeah, so that's the long couple minutes ago the Thursday. So Thursday is going to be our closeout stream at 7 p.m. Eastern, where we're just going to celebrate the end of the campaign, and then have a couple people on, like Tracy, to talk about the horror campaign.
Someone interesting talk for
and the Pine Box Middle School, and so those are coming to Kickstarter in October, which would be awesome. And then the right after that at 8 p.m. Eastern, we are getting our same host from our Savage World Summer Showcase, and since summer is over, we are doing Fast Furious Fall Features, and so we're going to start with some interviews with PEG staff and kind of run through, get to meet the people behind the scenes of PEG and what they do and how they game and any other interesting tidbits about their life. So that'll be, hopefully we're going to get Jess and Simon and Donald up for the first one.
Nice.
And then we'll be doing those every week. So eventually you'll see Daryl again.
I'm sorry, everyone.
You can know his secrets.
In the meantime, enjoy Simon and Jess and Don, because they're all awesome people and they're really fun.
And so it'll be fun to get those done. But for tonight, we're gonna delve more into the breach. So if you guys didn't see it, it was in our newsletter, and I think it'll be coming out to an email tomorrow for all of our. We do need Pine Box Middle School logos, right? All this good stuff. I don't know. Do we have Tracy? Tracy's in the chat. Do we have a Pine Box? I know we have a mascot.
And I know they've been working on the logo. I don't know if they've finalized it yet. She can respond in the chat.
Okay, so we'll let Tracy figure that out.
Or we can make them wait till Thursday.
Right? We should do that on Thursday and show the logo on Thursday. Of course. So yes, Tracy, if you can't get that done by Thursday. If not, no worries. But
I think it's done, but there might still be... Yeah, not finalized. Yeah, there's still like approvals to happen, right? Because there's a lot of people in the Pine Box, sandbox that all have to agree. Like, this is it. This is what it should be. So.
Yeah, and speaking of all the people in the Pine Box sandbox, We're going to try to do a Pine Box retrospective with all the authors who've worked on the project, well, the main authors at least, and do some interviews and fun stuff with them. So Tracy's going to work out. Thanks, Tracy. We appreciate you. And so we'll see when we get that. We haven't got that on the schedule yet, but that'll be part of the kind of the lead up or during the Kickstarter campaign, is to just talk about all the cool stuff that's already been done with East Texas University and study abroad, and then now we're taking it to middle school. So it'll be fun. It'll be good stuff. And but yeah, so if you haven't seen it, let me see if I can't share. So the Drive-Thru RPG exclusive, which is up on Drive-Thru RPG, and let me get the link right now so you guys can follow along. This is turning into like a school thing. Follow along in your textbooks, students.
Please open your books to page death.
Right. Let's see. Razorjack. So yeah, we have got a.
The new arcane background we're going to talk about.
Yeah, right. So I've got that. That is the Drive-Thru RPG exclusive. So I'll put that in the chat right now, guys. So
if people want a new toy to play with early. Yeah.
Right. And speaking of preview, like this isn't a big preview. We didn't hold back. Like you can use this preview right now. We gave you all the pages, and so yeah, let's talk about it. Let's do a little share screen, window, boom. Okay, here we go.
There we go.
The Razorjack. Oh, nice. So Daryl, tell us, what is the evolution of how these were built? What kind of role they fill?
Yeah.
How were they powered? All that fun stuff. Man.
Yeah, right. So the original idea was, because there is a very cool arcane background available in Deadlands Lost Colony already, the Breaker, right? And they've got these, you find out later, possessed by ghosts, nanites that can just wreck stuff, right? But what we wanted to do with this book, as we're putting out new material, we want stuff for everyone, right? The GMs got the plot point campaign, to help them out and rules and things like that. But we also wanted stuff so that players would feel good about it, even whether they're sharing or even just buying it for their GM, so the GM can run, but they get some toys too, right? And whether it's equipment or edges or hindrances. And one of the fun things was like, well, how about an arcane background to supplement what's already there? And the real pressure for that was, I've got these critters called gravity raids that show up, and they have these gravity powers like crush, that draw people in together, or alter the gravity around them. And I'm always the kind of player that's like, when I see the villains have something awesome, I want to have it too. And so like that instinct drives something like that. It's like, would a breaker be able to have this? It's like, well, no, actually they've got these nanites that alter matter, right? Not necessarily energy as much. So like, that opens up a space that we can move into. What would allow that, right? Would these be, how would that even work? And then part of the lore is Hellstrom Industries has created spirit traps that, like, the biggest one has actually contained war and broken down into, bite-sized morsels for a demon to eat. and so this is a technology. Yeah, so this is a technology that's not widely available, but it is available. And Hellstrom Industries really loves putting, the souls and body parts of murderers in different configurations and, testing them out. Like, let's science this until someone's soul breaks. And so the Razorjack is that, right? It's like, okay, you're the unlucky recipient of these implants, and they've taken a spirit trap and they've grabbed, in a lot of cases, a gravity wraith. So it's got this gravity magic, these magical powers, caught it in the spirit trap and plugged them directly into your skull, with the software assist, so you can direct that energy yourself. And that's why you see the art. They've got the kind of messed up technology. You've literally got a demon on your back.
I just love how it's so Deadlands. It's like, you don't get anything for free. You have to deal with abominations.
Yeah, right?
It's so on point.
Exactly. It is Deadlands, right? That's what inspires all of this and why it feels right. And then it's like, and the rest of it's the mechanical parts that make that work. And much like in Deadlands and in Lost Colony, where you've got Harrowed, where you've got that, a spirit and a soul kind of vying for dominance and control. You get the same thing on an artificial level here. And the really nice part of that is it lets us reuse some mechanics that don't get worked out as much, for like, because only one person is usually playing a Herald, if even one. And it's like, oh, but the Herald mechanics are so much fun. And we've got these cards or this table that helps trigger all that. It's like, well, let's have another character that can leverage those exact same mechanics. And that's the struggle between you and this critter that's been hardwired into your soul. And if you lose, it's you're done. Like, it's bad news.
Well, and that's kind of, the thing about Savage Worlds that I really love. I mean, obviously, to me, card initiative is a surprise every round, and jokers make that a super exciting thing to have happen. Exploding dice are a surprise every round. Excitement happens. The tension for the number of different character classes that kind of have this trigger effect where something major happens, whether it, especially the Herald and like here where it's, what happens if the Manitou takes over? Yeah. What happens if, you get that final burn and you are exit flight, there's no turning back. I mean, that is a narrative goodness that it's so fun to play with.
And you've got space, right? Like, you start with several points of dominance. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're still alive, but might come to wish you were dead. That's exactly it, Frank. And unlike a Herald starts dead, right? So their dominance is set. Where at Dominion, their Dominion number's set. Whereas because you're alive with these guys, if you increase your spirit die, your Dominion can go up, so you can get ground back. And also, they have the two things that will trigger the Dominion roll. One, you can do it on purpose because you want firepower, right? Like if you unleash hell, it's called, you're like, all right, unleash hell. I'm going to let the beast out and I'm going to get 10 power points right off the bat. Ooh. And I can dig deeper into powers I haven't bought and just use them, right? That's really nice. And in a clutch, if you're going to die anyway, you might want to do that. And that's going to trigger one of these 6 Herald effects. Or when you get the one time that you can have that happen where it's not a choice is the crit fail, where it's like you get the crit fail and, well, let's roll on the table or draw the card. The other nice thing is not all of the results are bad. One of the 6 results is all good. You gain Dominion and power points. Like your magical strength increases for a burst of, you get a burst of energy out of it. And you wrest control. So it's not all bad, but it's fun.
That just sounds like a lot of fun, right? I mean, it's just the options for chaos and, just the random storytelling that happens when you lose Dominion, or the cool things you can really do when you choose to really kind of risk that. I mean, the Unleash Hell thing sounds like a whole lot of fun. So
yeah, like I say, it's for that tight corner. Like we're in a tight corner, like famine's coming right at us. That's a good time to unleash hell because we're probably going to die anyway.
And that's really the thing here is, like, I mean, it's hard to stress this enough. This is Lost Colony is where you finally get to deal with the Reckoners once and for all.
Yep, face to face.
Yes, they're diminished enough by Banshees, so it's not you versus Cthulhu where it's just
a fight. Yeah, but that's the nice thing is it's a fight now, hard fight.
Exactly. I mean, that is the cool part. So, if you've got this great Deadlands lore, the major plot point campaigns for Deadlands get their final denouement, put the exclamation point on it, bury him 6 feet deep in an asteroid. Here, that's where this happens. So that's really exciting about these.
Yeah, and the other thing about Razor Jacks that, like, I think is entertaining, and I think both GMs might be a little bit relieved about, but I think it's fun for players too, which is they can't use the selective modifier. It's like, look, if you're starting a black hole and sucking things into it, you can't say, but you're okay, Bob. Everyone but Bob.
Oh,
no. It's a black hole or it's not. So you're throwing these powers and you've got to manage that. You've got to be like, everyone get clear, and there's timing involved where you can use Crush. Like I say, one of my favorite combos that can come up is a Breaker and a Razor Jack. because you can have the Razorjack use Crush to pull them all into this little tight bundle, and now the breaker. Well, it turns out I've got powers that work on people in a small burst template. Let's do this.
Oh, glorious! Giving PCs ideas is always a good thing. The that's so much fun.
That's cool. And a utility power, like as you're scrolling through the powers, your gravitate, it actually can be a utility power in its own way. What gravitate does is it lets you notch up or down the local gravity by 1 level, 2 on a raise, up to maximum of heavy or minimum of 0G microgravity. Where that can be very useful is you in Deadlands Lost Colony, you get used to gravity at certain levels, right? If you've been spending a lot of time on Banshee, you're used to normal gravity. Like no matter where you were born or what you came from, like you're acclimated to it. And once you've been in space travel, you're generally in low gravity with their gravity drives. And then some space stations are 0 gravity or, and all that. And the rule of thumb in the Deadlands Lost Colony book is it's about like over a week that you acclimate to that new gravity. And that can be really tough on people in this because it's like, oh, we are going to travel from a station to a station. We're in low gravity because we're engaging our gravity drive. If it takes more than a week or 2 to get there, we're going to be low gravity acclimated when we arrive. If it's a 0G base, or if it's a normal gravity because they've got momentum spin or whatever, if you're not acclimated, you're going to be a little bit messed up. And this can actually help the entire party where the Razorjack's like, I can change the local gravity up or down enough to where we're normalized and the bad guys aren't.
Oh, that's cool. That's clever. I dig that. Also just be able to move a 2 on a raise. I mean, there's just certain things where I could just see the plot being fun if all of a sudden gravity is a whole 2 steps different than it should be.
Well, and especially if you crank it to high gravity, which there's almost no one in the faraway system that's used to, but spoiler alert, there are. There's high gravity been training, the UN's training in high gravity around the massive Jupiter planet, and their kind of frontline Marines are high G born, and they're wearing these battle suits that literally nobody else can wear. And I was like, and that's why I wasn't too afraid introducing them. So it's like, yeah, you need like a D12 strength, to be able to wear this thing at all. Yes, there are PCs that could manage that, but these guys are just born to it, and that makes them brutes when they fight too.
These sound good. I mean, when you put Reckoners in front of people, this sounds like a class you're gonna want to like play with. I mean, like there's all those traps of having to be like you're dealing with a Manitou, and you can lose control. That's just fun. But it sounds like these are a pretty cool, powerful arcane background to take.
And it does let people play with the Manitou more with that spirit because, like, it's easy to get it wrong, especially early on. Like, in my early games, I would always play it as the Manitou would come out and do things while my character was asleep. And that's explicitly not how they work. Like, so it's time to reiterate. It's like, oh, right. Yeah, like, no, they take over when you're awake. But I always loved that idea of, like, the Manitou's, like, leaving notes for you. And you're like, oh, crap. Like, what am I doing while I'm asleep? Yikes.
But just stirring the pot of the plot. Just things that you're liable for now. It's like, what did the Manitou do?
Yeah, but the great thing is, like, that's how it works when you're awake. They can't do any, like, the body sleeps, is inactive when you're asleep. But if you trigger these Manitou effects, the nice thing is they don't trigger immediately. It's when they make narrative sense. So, like, if you draw the card, which is like, yeah, the Manitou's, it's going to kill someone. Like, it's got murder on the mind. That's going to happen. It doesn't have to happen in the fight. It can be later. Like, they're just like, oh, yeah. Like, and here's narratively where this makes the most sense and is the most interesting. and who's the most horrible person that it could do this to,
Or during the shopping portion.
Yeah, right. And like, are you going to go to jail for it? Like, what's happening here? But and the nice thing is, like, the Manitou doesn't want to die either. Like, that's like true. Once they get installed in something like this, or once they're on board at Harrowed, it's a one-way ticket. Like, before they were spirit, now they're melded. When this body goes, they're done. So they are highly invested in this body not getting too messed up. They don't want to die. They don't want to get trapped. They want to have fun, but they don't want to mess themselves up.
Well, that's a fun new difference too, right? I mean, just yes.
Well, and the big one for chases is it's not energize. There's one of their powers you notice the Razorjack's powers are more energy based, where the breakers are more matter based. And so one of the things that you can do is you can actually pour energy into the ship's systems. And you can kind of do that anyway, just like as a support role with magic. But this one, like, is a big boost where you're like burning 5, 10, 20 power points to get like a 50% speed increase. And that has a huge impact on chases. So
that's way too much fun. So let's do a quick overview of the campaign, and we'll jump into some of the other cool monsters to talk about, because monsters are good. But let's just see where we are on this, because we do these for posterity too. So we're like, how much do we make during that campaign? It's really easy to go to like the last day live stream and see what the number was. That's like the sheet. Like, after we take down all the numbers and all that fun stuff. But let's just go see how we're doing on the campaign. And boom. So let's see. Here's the link to the campaign. So you guys have not. I mean, most of you have.
Oh, we're 23. That's awesome.
Right? Yay! So the link is in the chat. So if you head to peginc.com and then click up at Lost Colony, the nice little green haloed thing. Right.
Tell your friends, buy it for your GM, make your GM buy it.
But we're at 434 backers and 23K, which is great.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So again, you can get in for, let's see, high comments. You can get in for as little as $10.
$10. Yeah.
Not too bad. Especially
that was our feedback. That was our feedback from Ghost Mountain. Like, our bad. We'll fix that.
I just put the book in digital. Okay, cool. You got the book in digital. Here it is.
My bad.
And we're even throwing in the cool PDFs for the Wanted for Famine and War, which are awesome.
They're way cooler physically, but yes, the PDF is there for those that want to see it.
Right, especially the stuff on the back is cool though. I mean, you want it. You like Count Coup against the Reckoner is a cool thing. So
it's mostly a reminder to the party, right? Like, P.S. This is a thing that you did. You all got a big reward.
You can cash this in
if you did it. Yeah.
And then for print, if you just want the book, $25. Again, pretty good for 96 pages.
Yeah, 96 page. Yep.
And
hardback, because I want to make sure all my books match. Like, I will fight hard to never do a softback book.
Right? I mean, like, softback only if they're in another container. So, like, I think softback is great for, like, the Pathfinder Adventure Pass when they're in the box set, right? Like,
it's a long-standing debate. It is an absolutely long-standing debate. Whereas I like to pull them out of the box and put them on my shelf, and it bugs me. It's like, why is that one a hardback and that one softback? And while a lot of people like the soft better, like, I totally get that, but I like the hardback better, so that's what I always push for.
It's true. I like.
If you guys disagree, tell us in the comments. Like, make us work for this.
So the top levels, if you are the game master with the mostest, is $50 for the Print Ranger, which gets you the book,
all the new stuff,
all the new stuff, the book, the cards in print, and then the two-sided map of the Black City, which is cool. We talked about that in the last stream, and then all the pawns.
First time ever for pawns for Lost Colony.
Yes, so these will work again for the original Lost Colony, Widowmaker plot point where you go after war, and for the new one. And
the demon is the plot point where you go after war.
Oh, the demon
Widowmaker is the extra in the GM screen.
It's a cool one though. It's cool.
It is cool.
It's cool. Yes, hardback. I too agree. And
thanks, Daniel.
I have not forgot your question about superpowers. We'll talk about it in a second here. Rangers. For the so that one's a great deal. And then if you have not yet done Deadlands Lost Colony, you want to get all the things. The $150 print prospector is the original box set, which includes the original hardback book, all the goodies that were in there,
Yep.
The new hardback book, the pawns, the adventures, and also like the narrative. There's a book that goes along with like a plot book.
Yeah. There's a novel. Yeah.
A novel. Yes, it's a novel about the fiction kind of behind Lost Colony. It's I hear it's good. I have yet to read it yet.
I did. I read it to, in preparation for this. And it did inform some of my decisions as I went through. Okay.
Yeah.
Mine too. That's exactly why I always push for it. It's like, oh, that's what I want.
Right. Well, we've been good though. At least we're down. We're down to the graphic novel size. It's like that's the size we're going to give you.
It's all one size. They're almost all hardbacks.
So if you have not done Lost Colony, you want to go all in.
And there have been a lot of people that have actually jumped in on that top level that missed the original. And that's what I'm most excited about, right? It's like, ooh, like cool. We brought some people into that larger world. That makes me happy.
Yeah, I mean, I think the being the first one out the door after Suede came out, I think it flew a little under the radar for some people. So we're glad that you're back. And
a little bit of that, probably a little fatigue too. Yeah,
that's true. Well, all the good stuff in the Suede box. It's like, oh, what are we working for now? But the man, I mean, because we're supporting Deadlands Lost Colony so robustly, and there are going to be more than 2 additional. We're going to kill all them Reckoners, and then there's more because Daryl hit it like during the last stream, kind of like the what might be what new evil and powers might be rising now that the Reckoners are being taken care of. And Hellstrom Industries being able to put demons into computer chips is kind of a big thing. I mean, that might go somewhere. Just saying. So
that's always what's interesting to me, right? Like I love the classic villains. However, I also like moving the story beyond them. Like what's next? Like I love 50 Fathoms. I don't want to fight the Sea Hags again. Like we did that. What's beyond the Sea Hags? Like what's the next thing?
Somewhere beyond the Sea Hags. Anyways.
And it's the same with Deadlands. Like, I love all this stuff, right? But like for me at least, it'll always be about like the new toys that might pull up threads that were unresolved from the old toys. But it's always going to be like, ooh, what's the new threat? What's the consequence to what we did last time? That's where it gets really exciting, I think.
Well, and the thing for us is when we see you guys back this campaign so voraciously, it lets us know that we need to keep continuing these lines. That it is a living,
If no one came, it's like, oh, by the way, that story's over.
Right. And then remember the big thing about why you want to back during the campaigns is that we do campaign specific exclusive shipping, which is much better than non-campaign shipping.
The prices overall are also cheaper. So.
Yeah. So so that's why you want to get in now while the getting's good. So we got a little more time, and so one I want to answer. Go back and Daniel Atson's question on what's up with Superpowers Companion. So imminently we are waiting for supers to arrive in our warehouse. So that will be basically any day now. Is when we will finally get the confirmation from our warehouse that stuff's here, and then we need to give them some time. So it won't be immediately, but I mean soon in the beginning of October, we expect shipping to start out to backers for SPC, and we are so excited that one's getting out.
Like you guys have no idea, like on the inside, like how like every day, and the poor people that have to track that are just like shut up because we're all like, oh, is it in the warehouse yet? Like I don't know, like it's in a truck somewhere, it's in a ship somewhere, like.
Right, and it's been such a mental gymnastics these last 2 years of just trying to okay, what's going on? Why is there a delay? Where? Who? Huh? What?
Yeah. Well, we've all seen the effects of it in our daily lives anyway, right? Like you can just look at your shelf at the grocery store and how hard it is. So when it's a specific container coming from China to here, add that much more to it. And then even once it's on shore, it's like there's still more hoops. And you always want to be like, aha, it would be Tuesday, But the second you say that, something goes wrong. And then it's
like driver of the truck he exceeded his hours on the road and had to literally take a nap for 8 hours or 9 hours. It's like
land sharks ate a ball. Right. Sorry, everyone. Like, not again.
Candy Graham. So we're really excited so Supers is imminent. That's as much as we can say, because literally we are waiting on bated breath with bated breath for the warehouse to tell us that it's there. And it should be soon. I mean, really, it's like, the expected time is any minute now. So it wasn't today, obviously, but it might be tomorrow. It might be a week from now. We never know.
It'll be soon, and the hits are going to start rolling pretty fast. Like,
yes, there's a whole backlog of stuff that's just like ching, ching, ching.
Yeah,
ching.
It's like, okay, it's all kind of stacked up now, which is good for you guys. Like, you already paid for it. It just arrives now.
Yeah, and we're excited to see our first game changer get into people's hands, right? I mean, that's the big thing. Is just it's getting those images where you guys upload them to social media. It's like it arrived. I mean, we are as excited as you are, because we don't send out staff versions until after all of the
exactly.
So,
I'm excited because soon I'll get my book. I can't wait.
Right? So it's like
Actually, I'll probably get mine first, because back then I wasn't staffed, so I bought it the regular
you will get yours before everybody else. I mean, like, Simon gets proof copies, but it's like, no, we don't prioritize. And I'm like, I really need my copies to put them up on stream, and they're like, nope. You wait. Like, okay, fine. So even I can't pull early copies. One more question, off topic before we get into like the gooey Gore.
Literally gooey.
Yeah. Tyler asks, "I'm smushing Pirate Borg and 50 Fathoms. Fun.
Nice.
Fun.
Nice.
Would you recommend waiting for the Horror Companion?"
So I recommend doing your own damn thing, but Horror Companion will add some things for you.
Can you wait a month, sir? That's the whole thing, Tyler. But
don't wait. Do it.
In a month. Well, he will have the Horror Companion in a month, right? Because we're figuring like, Kickstarter. Okay, so here's the deal. Kickstarter, we have to wait until Kickstarter gives us the go-ahead before we can give you your alpha.
There's an extra padding time.
There's an extra weeks there, which is obnoxious. So I'm sorry, it's not going to be a month. Like so on our Game Changer, the great thing about Game Changer is we are looking to give you your alpha file like pronto when the campaign closes. I'm
a big proponent of, if you're comfortable with it, go for it anyway, right?
Yeah.
Like, do your thing. And the great thing, because that's the fun part of Savage Worlds, is when you get the companions that add those tools, you'll either slap yourself in the head and be like, oh, okay, now I know how I should have done it. Or you'll be like, those guys missed the boat. I'm going to write a long thing, and then we'll have to eat crow. Be like, yeah. That was a better way to do it. Our bad.
But so please do add horror. There are some fun stuffs in there. You might not get to it in the first session of your game, so we might have enough padding where you can start with the cool idea. Because I mean,
anytime I'm asked, my vote is always play now, and break it.
Right.
Play now and break it. Well, I'll learn something.
Right. And you might even give us some tips on comments on what we need to put into the Horror Companion, because there still might be some pages. So that's the thing, is if the Horror Companion goes well on Kickstarter, we might add more pages. That's another thing. We'll put.
Well, thanks. Add some more work for me. Thank you. Or poor Shane, he doesn't have enough. Well, let's add some pages, Shane.
That's true. Yeah, don't listen to Landauer. Landauer has no sway. But we do sometimes put those as stretch goals, like more pages. But also, when the campaigns go really well and somehow it has an idea that's like, wait a minute, we should really cover that. That needs to get covered. Either we make room or we add pages. So the books never get smaller. If you notice, we never cut. It's never I mean, speaking of pirate games and cutting pages, so we could have done Buccaneer in 3 books instead of 1, and it probably would have been more profitable. But we ended up giving people 300 some pages of stuff, and it's that's expensive. It's a lot to just jam that much in. So the Pinnacle, on the other hand, is a little smarter on getting all the goods that you need to the core, and then figuring like, hey, we'll do some
like
updates. But
we write to very strict outlines, and man, you hit your targets and, and you go.
Editing is killer. That's the other thing. Editing yourself, like the whole what do they say? Like sacrifice your babies or whatever, or kill your darlings. When you've worked on something and you're like, this is 20 pages, I really like it, and it's just like, does it need to be in the core? Well, no. But it's 20 pages I worked really hard on. Should it be in a supplement next year? Maybe better.
Well, that's just it. We all start slush files where it's like, you can look back on, if you need ideas or inspiration for something going forward. Yeah.
That's true.
Because I've had a lot of stuff that I've had to cut in one way or another, but it always comes back. Sometimes I don't want it to, like I don't even think about it.
Yeah, we do produce horror settings, so
yeah, right. Speaking of killing your babies, Pine Box Middle School, everyone.
I am still looking forward to Pine Box Middle School. I've liked everything Pine Box. I mean, Scott's work on it, all of it is just ETU, the whole universe.
We did degrees in horror twice out here. So
it's so good, and I love the fact that it's not overpowered. I mean, having you got to be the hillbilly to even get a shotgun in your car. I mean, you are not running around as outlaw, gunned up, toting like.
Well, maybe you're not.
Well, but I mean, I just love that it's horror.
It's a different way to play, right?
And it's I mean, like Deadlands, I love for the over the topness. I mean, because you can really you can go deep and develop your character and you can play. But like when you're a college kid, I'm sorry, it's like you don't have a tank. You don't have. I mean, just
well, it's that. But I like that you have to have that balance between your horror life and your college life.
Yeah.
Because the more you lean into the horror side of it and get more overpowered, like, all right, yes, I'm Bruce Campbell, I've got a chainsaw, I've got a whatever. It's like, but you're getting D- on all your engineering classes. Like, you're going to drop out. If you drop out, you're out of the game. Because you've got to maintain both your real world and your horror world. That's where I think it's particularly beautiful.
Right, and it's interesting games being written where, I mean, like I love Rippers, like literally reading this one, like love it. But body horror and Rippers is a kind of a cool, different. I mean, it's this whole thing, and it's you get powers from that. You can't do that in ETU.
And that's one of our challenges working with Rippers is like, even still, people are like, I don't know if this is a good enough idea to do it. And it's like kind of the core thing of the setting. So we need to make it a little bit more enticing. We're working on that.
I love it. I love everything about it. But yeah, I mean, so, and not even as a huge Buffy fan. Like, Buffy was okay. But like, man, like Penny Dreadful, love it. Anyways, the Pine Box Middle School is going to be awesome. And I think it'll be able to, from previews, I think it'll be able to capture all the fun stuff of Stranger Things and Kids on Bikes, but it's different enough where it's not just that. It is also
maybe
modern,
a little more savage.
Right? It's a little more savage. It's more modern, so it will be a fundamentally different experience. Although I think it'll check all the boxes you kind of wanted to check. So I'm excited for that. So Tracy mentions in with Pine Box Middle School, it's the balance between your horror life and your family life.
Yes, that's cool. That's a great way to put it. Yes.
We have not abandoned Rippers. So here's the deal, right? Like, this is not a secret. It's hard for us to put out new Rippers material when we haven't updated the core. Yeah. And like the update is not long for Rippers. I mean, it's like a 2 or 3 page document. It's really short.
Well, and last week I said I was working on Rippers, and it turns out I've gotten diverted to something else in the last 2 days. Right. So, by the way, last week I was wrong. But it is something we're actively working on. Rippers is Simon's baby. Like, that's the one that he will champion. Like, every setting's got its own kind of champion who wants to push it, and Simon's pushing that one. So it is absolutely something that we're working on. When it comes out, we got a lot of sausage heading into the grinder. We'll find out where it lands.
Right, and we just need to figure out, as a company and strategic-wise, strategery, whether or not it's good to put out more Rippers material before we do the updated core, even though that's not a big update. I mean, even just saying that it's risky. Like, if we don't have Rippers core in Suede, is a good idea to put out more supplements. Or which ones do we do? Do we wait and and there's just another thing like Deadlands Dark Ages,
right?
That's gonna have to come before we touch Rippers. We Deadlands Dark Ages is looming. It is looming, and so that's an exciting one that we also want to we want to keep your adrenaline only so high. We don't want to kill your kidneys with all the goodness. And same thing with Deadlands Noir, right? It's just like where do we fit it in? What's the right time scale? Like Shane has been completely clear. Weird Wars Rome and the Weird Wars, those are
so Weird Wars
right now.
Yeah, like Weird Wars Rome. That's the one that I'm pushing for. It's gonna be a while, y'all, because I don't have that much pull. But I've got a cool Weird Wars Rome one coming.
Nice. It's
gonna happen.
A whole idea for one too. And but I think it's it's
write it, man. Come on.
It's hard rebooting whole product lines and doing the cores and all those kind of things. So so I think we don't want to make any promises because there's only so many Kickstarter slots.
The main balance is supporting what we've already got, which is why Lost Colony came when it did. So we're looking at the list and we're like just like some people missed it. It's like we almost missed it too. Like, oh right, Lost Colony came out. It needs love. Deadlands is going to get a lot of love. It's out. That's Brian's big focus is keeping the awesome Deadlands stuff coming. And so we're going to get all those bases covered. And Savage Pathfinder's got a lot of stuff coming too.
Mm-hmm. Deadlands Vice.
Yeah.
Oh my god. So that's totally Anyways, yes, there will be good stuff coming. So if you haven't noticed, I mean, just looking at big picture, we'll get to the monsters quick because we've got 15 minutes. But the big picture, guys, we have definitely increased our output. If you've noticed, we've gone from there was a year where we did one Kickstarter, so that's not the case anymore. We are doing 2, 3, and 4 per year. We're doing the game changers, and even with all the challenges with shipping and stuff like that, we are supporting Savage Rifts, we are supporting Savage Pathfinder, we are supporting Deadlands. And
there's always the occasional new setting that was unexpected, like Holler.
Welcome to Holler.
That Tim brought to us, hey, by the way, I've got this thing that I wrote, and we're like, my God, that's the most amazing thing ever. Let's make this happen, So
yeah, so that's the big challenge, right? Is the fitting it all into a production schedule, making sure you guys have enough paydays,
and fitting it into everyone's all the buyers' budgets too.
Right.
That's a natural limit where that caps us at a certain point where people are like, oh my God, no more. I can't do anymore. It's okay.
Right. We need time. So and that is another cool thing about the game changers is we're also using those as our pledge managers. So if you do miss out on a campaign because it's just not in the budget, you can combine it with a future one and still get that special shipping. Which is cool. So that's kind of one of the reasons we do game changers on our own site is it allows for that. So yes, don't feel bad if you missed out, but you can come back and combine later. One of the major cool things we're doing, and we're seeing a lot of people do that. So that's great. So it is good to see as much enthusiastic support for these in the pledge manager phase and later, also combining with the new ones as there was during the campaigns, and. Right, so all the things need to be updated, but
we're all in the same that same fan boat, right? And this is why I'll push ooh, you write this thing, and then we'll be like, yes, that seems like a good idea, and then we'll talk about it. I'm like, wait, actually, this other domino needs to fall first, so shift over here,
Right, that is true. And
whether it's supers or.
Well, and that's the thing with the companions too, right? It's then a lot of the stuff we think that would go more naturally in a companion than one of the settings. It's okay, we'll put it in the companion. But then too, there's some stuff that we're we really want to wait until the companions are out for this one to come because it will just be better. So
Necessary Evil 3 was like that, and then we kind of realized companions out. I guess we better put that out. Let's get that going.
God, there's so much. Oh God, Necessary Evil. Yes, all of the above.
It's a traffic jam, so we're working on it, everyone.
But it's much better than one Kickstarter a year. So we hope we are thrilled that you guys are along the ride for us. But so with our few final minutes, sir, what can you tell me about? Let's see, this abomination.
Oh, that's the Heat Seeker. So the Heat Seeker, it's a giant space monster, and we were talking about one of the adventures that came with the other box set, A Billion Miles from Earth. And in that one, there's a gigantic space creature out in the void that's hunting stuff. Heat seekers are not as big as that critter. They are what that critter feeds upon. And what they feed upon are the same, like, fusion power drives, that power spaceships or whatever. So of course, you can get an interested heat seeker starting to follow you around. And how they attack is they teleport through the hunting grounds.
Oh, they teleport.
Yeah, oh. Right? Because hey, you're going basically FTL speed. Like, what natural critter could? I do mean Billion Miles from Home. Sorry.
Good luck escaping one of those things.
Which you can. Like, it just makes it a chase. And it's another thing for spaceships to do when they're out there. Like, something that could come up beyond pirates or beyond collisions and things like that.
Oh, that's awesome. Everyone's all like, I want space whales because they're nice. It's like,
there's nothing nice in the faraway system. Right? Like, the planet itself is pretty nice. However, everything on it tries to kill you. So
it's kind of like Arizona.
Yeah, that's just it. Like, Shane and I, we both live in Arizona, so we're used to that, right? Like, it's like, yes, if it's nature, it will try to stick you, stab you, or bite you, and that is how it is.
Yeah, well, just the way it is, folks. Just the way it is.
Yeah, that's how nature works: red and tooth and claw.
I love that. Yes. Okay, and so we got like a couple more minutes. Tell us about this thing. This is
the Oozing Dead. Oh, so, like, I was actually traumatized by one of those 60s, sci-fi horror movies where it's just like a fungus that gets on a space station. And even though the effects are terrible or whatever, you just got like that green ooze that's coming out. And to me, that's always been like a science fiction horror trapping. So I had to make sure if we're going to be in space in a horror setting, oh, hell yeah, there's going to be awful green things, right? And yeah, so,
Billy!
Right? Billy. And the big joke is, like, on all these asteroids, just like, yes, the artist did an amazing job. I would tell you which artist did that, but I don't have it right at my fingertips.
Oh gosh, I will look it up.
It's it'll be the end of the file name. But yeah, and so we've got Walking Dead. So how about, like, oozing fungus infested dead? And their big thing is they explode when you kill them, and they shower this acidic, crud all over everybody. And if you manage to get killed with this stuff on you, you rise as an oozing dead too. It's kind of like spores. In the parent creature is yes, fault. It's like, yeah, there's some of the art in this by far exceeded anything I could have imagined, right? Like, you do these art orders and sometimes you're like, oh, that's going to be a really cool idea, and it comes back and you're like, yes, that's cool. And sometimes you're like, all right, that was kind of a lame idea, and then the art that comes back, you're like, oh my god, that's amazing. Like, this person just took it beyond, levels beyond, and I'm always impressed by them.
Yeah, it is amazing and fun doing art orders and just seeing what comes back, because
it's not fun doing the orders. It's fun seeing the results come back.
Okay, yeah, I don't have to do the orders. I just watch. So yeah.
As a spectator sport, I'm sure it's fun.
I mean, just the folder just keeps filling up with cool stuff, and I'm like, oh, I got to use that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, and then and the sad thing too is just to look at some of these projects were like, some of these projects were in development during the original campaign and before, Lost Colony. So some of the art has been done like for years. It's like, yeah, it's kind of part of that whole supply pipeline backlog. It's like, we need to get this stuff out because you need to see it and play with it, and it's awesome. And it's a good problem to have. It's a good problem to be sitting on.
Oh man, there's some amazing stuff coming from Rifts, like the stuff for Terror on the Dark Frontier. Oh man, it's awesome.
when Terror there, it's like it's basically Bleeding Kansas.
Oh yeah, it's great.
In the future,
yeah.
It's like, oh, that's such a cool concept. And speaking of the art for Rift, so like Kevin is really big on making sure that the consistency and quality of the art, like even the butts. So we're doing pawns now, right? And so like we have to ask for ass art because we don't have asses on the front.
It's excited,
So now we have opinions on like, okay, this coalition soldier has to have that ass, and it's hilarious. I'm just going on the back and forth, but the Tracy agrees. They are uniquely satisfied when they do come back. And
done art orders are the best thing ever. Like the process is like, oh god, no, not art orders again. Right? It is. And this is one of the tricky things writing is if you can getting those art orders in early enough, they really inspire that last leg. Because just as it gets you excited to run, like it can inspire stuff on the writing side, especially when the artist sneaks in those details that you didn't expect, and you're like, "Oh, I don't even know how this works. I need to create something to help explain what I'm seeing here." Oh, that's the most fun part when you can get that back and forth. Like, it's so satisfying. Cheyenne writes like the best for that. Anytime you can get a back and forth with Cheyenne, like that's where so much stuff from 50 Fathoms came from, and that he's the best. Yeah, Bleach, right?
Man, Bleach. Yeah.
Gotta watch those who's in dead. Just as long as you don't find the death jelly. That's the big kind of parent blob that it'll consume you whole. like.
So like the good old like gelatinous cube, but for space.
Yeah, well,
no longer confined to dungeons.
I'd say a little bit more active than a gelatinous cube.
Okay.
Yeah.
That just sounds scary. Okay, so one last one because we talked a little bit about it in like I think our first stream, but since it's going to be on the cover, let me see which.
Gravity Wraith.
Gravity Wraith.
God. Yes. Yeah. Right. And so you know a little bit about them from the Razorjack preview because the Razorjack has a similar power set to these guys, but the other part is they are ethereal. And in Deadlands, it's like, okay, if we've got magic or whatever, that's fine. But in Lost Colony, where most people are carrying guns, that means they're not going to work. When you hit an ethereal opponent, you got to dig a little bit deeper. And this is where some of the equipment, like the spirit grids, can give you... Yeah, exactly. Newton Wraith is a really fun way. That's cool. I wish I'd have been able to steal that, but it's too late now. But yeah, like you either need Tannis weapons, which is the material that Banshee makes that can hurt spirits. Not everybody's got that, and especially when you're out in space a long way away from it, that can be a problem. Or spirit grids, or someone with an arcane background. The nice thing is the Breakers nanites, because they're infused with unholy spirits, they work. Like it's still magic, it's not all tech. But if you don't have those tools, you're down to running because there's nothing you can do about these guys.
Oh, so good. So I think that's enough of a teaser for all the gore and lore for Deadlands Lost Colony, folks. So once again, the campaign ends Thursday. We'll have a live stream for the last hour. But if you haven't backed, do back.
And you'll all be done with me
for about a month,
for a while,
and then we'll be back. But so yeah, guys, one more time I'll put the link in the comments. Thank you guys who've already backed. It has been a great campaign.
Yes,
and
thank you guys. And thanks for your questions and your interests. Like it's always fun to come on here and see comments and questions, and we like to talk about what we do. So please reach out.
It's not like we're fans. I mean, that's the fun thing about Daryl and I. It's like we were both like super fans before we ever got hired.
Right.
So,
yeah.
Yes. It's we love the community. We love the feedback, and you guys do have a considerable amount of power to shape what we make. Details.
What you're interested in drives a lot. Like I say, because we've got all these fighting urges of like, oh, I want to do this, I want to do that. Like, this is what I'm interested in. What breaks the tie is what are people interested in. So,
right, it's true.
Thanks for buying them.
Right? Yes, you guys have been great, and so thank you guys for backing Deadlands Lost Colony so robustly. We appreciate it, and we will see you on Thursday for the final hour stream, and then immediately following that, Fast Furious Fall features with Harlan and Joe and some Peg folks, and we appreciate you guys. So take it easy on this lovely Tuesday, and we will see you on Thursday. Cheers, folks.
Bye.